Today's topic is raising adolescents with ease. And this topic is very, I like this topic, because I have a young adults as well, not young adults myself. And it's a very tricky topic because we tend to use different methods and techniques and what we know to raise these young adults. And then we have someone in the building who would tell us how to raise these adolescents with ease. And she's no other than Mrs. Taiwo Bukomi, who she's passionate about family psychologist and a mental health advocate based in Abuja here in Nigeria. And with years and years of experience supporting children, adolescents, parents, and families, she specializes in helping individuals navigate emotional challenges, strengthen family dynamics, and building the mental health in homes. Let's welcome Mrs. Twain coming to podcast today. Welcome, Twain.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me.
Yes.
You're both looking so pretty.
Oh, thank you. We try.
Thank you so much.
And you look amazing as well. Thank you. Tell us more about yourself first. What's your your experiences with these adolescents, these young adults.
Like you read out in my bio, I'm a family psychologist. I work with parents, I work with adolescents, and I also work with organizations in terms of their mental health. I provide them with tools and resources for the parents to raise well-balanced individuals, and for the adolescents, I provide them with tools to live a thriving life, because I notice we work with parents and work with adolescents, and we have some adolescents who are battling with mental disorders as little as in depression. I won't call depression little, but emotional dysregulation, we have that amongst adolescents. So I work with them in terms of that. Now, when we talk about adolescents are actually individuals between the ages of 10 and 24.
Okay.
So, and yes, they're still Gen Z, and we have Gen Alpha amongst them. And for parents, you said something that raising our children, it's quite, in fact, the world they're living in is quite different from the world we grew up in. They have so many different dynamics, so many things there's a lot of things coming to their faces compared to our generation. My generation, we had the TV coming up by 4 p.m.
Generation at 4 p.m.
At 4 p.m. But they have the devices right from when they're months, or 2, 3, but because most parents use that as like a coping mechanism just to distract them from disturbing them when they want to do things. And these children, they've grown into the age, so call it the jet age, call it technological driven age, and they are so technologically inclined. So everything is screen based, everything is online, everything is they just the tabs and all that, and they click and they're there. And for parents who do not understand this, there will be a lot of disparity, there will be a lot of challenges and conflict in their relationship, in their dynamics. Why? Because you are trying to raise your child based on the knowledge based on, this is how it is. But the child is developing quite fast under your nose. And I wonder what is happening. So for some of the clients I've had interventions for, one thing that I hear the most is, my mom do not understand me.
She doesn't get me.
My dad just doesn't understand
They don't get me. They don't understand.
And the parents too are like, I don't understand what's happening with this child.
And the parents
This child
listen to me.
This child has changed, this child is no longer, And for those who have children in either university or higher institution living out from home, by the time the child comes back, your child has experienced has gone through certain emotional experiences that even you don't even know about. So you've seen the child and you wanted to raise the child the way you raised the child when he was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's not going to be different. So first thing I tell parents when it comes to raising their adolescents with ease is that you need to understand who you're raising. Your child is evolving. You need to know that. Your child is evolving. Because your child is evolving, there are certain things your child used to love that your child might not love again. There are certain programs, TV programs that your child might be watching before, and your child is no longer watching those TV programs. So the first thing that you need to understand the child you're raising. Second thing I tell parents, You need to understand the world in which you're raising that child. You need to understand the different dynamics, different things happening in that world. Because if you don't understand the world your child is being raised in, you might feel that, oh, my child is too, my child is perfect. But your child has seen things that even you've not seen online. Your child has heard things that even you've not heard online. So for parents, it's important to understand who you are raising, to understand the home or the society or the world in which your child is developing. Let me pause. This is another question.
So are you now telling us now that technology is bad?
Oh, absolutely not. Technology is one of the best things that happened to this generation. We're doing this recording, and I can imagine the number of people that are watching this. People not in Nigeria, people outside Nigeria, and that's one of the benefits of technology. However, when it comes to technology, for our children, there needs to be this balance. We need to, and that's why we have parental guidance on almost all the devices. Even for your child to be able to register on certain platforms, social media platforms, your child needs to have attained a certain age for your child. But unfortunately, we give these children devices quite from an early age. And in fact, someone was saying something that some of these X-rated platforms, when they see that the height of the person looking at the screen is not so, they pump a lot of all these films, all these
X-rated. Just by the shadow.
Yeah, so by the time you come and you're like, what is it? It goes off. I don't know how true that is, but that was what I heard.
Wow.
So for parents, you need to protect your child. You are protecting your child not for today but for tomorrow. Because in the work I do, I've seen a lot of children who started watching pornography quite at an early age. I've seen children who've they've learned a lot of things online. So for parents, if you're giving your child a device, you're giving them the device, protecting them, putting the right parental guide, control and all that. And not just that, you also need to teach them about screen time, you teach them about predators, you teach them about where they shouldn't need to go to. So there's this thing called etiquette. That's like our normal etiquette,
but for the internet. Yeah.
So you need to have empowered your children in line with that, for them to know what to share online, what not to share online. Because one thing they need to know is that their digital footprint will be there forever. So technology is good, but it's just the way we use it that determines if it's good or not.
There are so many advantages of technology, but sadly the downsides can be very, very, very distressing. For instance, that 14-year-old who committed suicide, and it was alleged that it was due to some kind of relationship he was having with a chatbot, and that chatbot was allegedly a character from the film of Games. So a very popular TV show. And the mom is suing the company that created the chatbot because, according to her, allegedly, according to her, that chatbot seemed so much like a human being. And this boy started withdrawing from reality, withdrawing from his family because he thought he had found a new friend. And so everything they were conversing until he said, I think his final chat with the chatbot was, can I just come and be with you? And allegedly, the chatbot said, come and be with me, my king. And, so she believes that the influence came from his relationship with a chatbot who wasn't real but seemed to be real.
But I also see some form of parental gap there. Because if you have a child that used to be so extroverted, and all of a sudden you notice the child becoming isolating himself and withdrawn, that is a crime. That's the source of worry. And for parents, and that's why I say you need to know the child you're raising. You need to know who your child is. So if you see anything strange, you keep on it immediately, and you work on it immediately. You don't wait until something bad has happened. In my home, that's one of the things we do. When we notice certain changes in our children, we address it immediately. Because if you don't address these things immediately, they might linger on and become something really big. I work in a mental health facility, I work in a rehab, and some of the patients I work with, they will tell you, my apartment is outside from my parents' apartment. So I work in a high network rehab center, and the parents can actually afford to give the child his own apartment outside where the parents are staying. So when these changes are happening, they don't see. And that's why I say for parents, you need to understand, you need to know who you're raising. Because when you know your child, you notice when there are changes and things are not happening, things are not going on right. You would know. And the earlier you know, the better. Because there's this thing that we say that the longer the child gets treatment, so that's for mental health or for any, the longer the child gets treatment, the longer the treatment period or treated period, the more difficult is it for the person to go back to pre-moving state. So it's very important as parents that we watch out for our children, we know what's happening around them. And because your child is like 14, 15, 16, so you want to give them the privacy, but you still need to be a source of influence in their lives.
So what will you say about, is it okay, for instance, some teenagers, they don't want to open up to the parents, right? What do you think is the best option? Is it okay for you to have a friend talk to the teenager, or what would you advise so that he can open up? Because this boy wasn't open up to anybody. So would it have been okay for the mom to have said, okay, I've noticed this, he's not opening up to me? Who is the best person to refer the child to in order to help them?
So in the family setting, ensure that you have that social support, or you have that support structure whereby you have other parents that share the same values with you, that will also befriend your children. So you could have a friend that can be like a mentor or a mentor to the child, basically. However, if you realize that you don't have such a person, there's nothing wrong with getting a therapist for the child or a counselor so that the child can speak to. And when you're getting a counselor, ensure that it's someone that also shares the same values with you. Because maybe if you are not getting a counselor that so you ensure that whoever you're introducing or whoever you're bringing into the life of the child or children, ensure that the person shares the same or similar values with you. So there's nothing wrong in getting someone to speak with the child. However, we really love if your children can open up to you, because you know the child and you know the pains you've gone through having a child, and you know what expectations or what are things you want for the child, the future you want for the child.
So I have two questions. So first of all, what are the red flags that the children exhibit so that parents can say, this is happening? What are the indicators? What are the things that we need to see and say, there's something not just quite, And then two, Nigeria, is still not there. Some people still do, but there's just a stigma to it that it's talking to somebody, therapist, or talking to a counselor, because all there's a stigma. There's a stigma to it. So how do we deal with this?
Okay, so I had this conversation this morning at the TV station where I spoke about mental health, and I explained that one of the reasons people don't come out for treatment is because of the stigma. And that's why we need to keep talking more and more about mental health. Mental health is not a death sentence. Your mental health is a state of well-being that shows that you are capable of handling day-to-day activities. You're able to read, you're able to walk, you can think well, you can feel well, you can act well. However, mental disorder is when there's the absence of, you're not able to think well, you're not able to feel right, or you're not acting right. That's when you have that's when you see there's a mental challenge or mental disorder. And like I said earlier, the earlier the person gets treatment, the better for the person to go back to pre-moving state. Now, what are the signs we can watch out for to know, maybe there's something is wrong? When a child becomes an adolescent, there are certain changes parents would see in their children. The child wants to affiliate more with his friends. The child, so there are different, you have the early adolescent, you have the middle adolescent, and you have the late adolescent. So for the early adolescent, the child wants to affiliate more with his friends. So that's when you start seeing them in cliques, following their friends, and they might not really want to be talking to their siblings like that, because they're developing, their reasoning is changing, they're thinking abstractly, so many changes are happening physically and all that, emotionally and psychosocially. Now for the middle adolescents, that's when they start having crushes. So if your child is having a crush, there's nothing wrong It's just part
Are you
of.
hearing?
It's just part of. It's just part of the child developing. However, when the child has a crush, what will the child do with the crush? That's where you come in as the parents to ensure that you have a sexuality education with your children and explain to them that crush is okay.
Not let's not crush.
It's nothing wrong, you know. And if a child doesn't have a crush, there's something happening, you know, because it's part of the developmental stage. Therefore, the later adolescent, you see them becoming more independent. That's when they're either out of university or they're in university or they're going out of university and they're thinking more about the future. I'm just giving you the short version of this. Now, for you to identify if there's something wrong, after going through all these changes, if you notice that your child is isolated himself, not because if your child is isolating himself, that's a red flag. If you notice that your child is either sleeping too much or sleeping less, that's another red flag. If you notice your child for adolescents, yes, there's this mood swings, but if you notice that the child is becoming very aggressive, that's a sign that something might be happening. If you notice the child is eating a lot or eating less, you know, that's another sign. Then if you notice that the child is, maybe getting very aggressive,
gets angry easily.
Yeah, getting angry easily, having lots of mood swings, that's a cause for this. That's a cause of concern.
Concern.
Yeah, so these are just a few.